Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the feature race at Aqueduct on Saturday. Race number 8, it's the $125,000 Queens County, going a mile and an eighth. You can bet this nice card with the DRF Bets account. Sign up at bets.drf.com, receive a 300% deposit match. Here's the field for the Queens County. Very competitive group of horses. I can make a case for all of them, to be honest. Let's start with the morning line favorite down towards the rail, the number 1 Name Changer. This horse won a graded stake 2 starts back at this mile and an eighth distance. He beat some solid runners that day. Last time out in the Pennsylvania Derby Championship, he caught one of the hottest horses in training. Aztec Sense won that race, then won the Claiming Crown Jewel with a 98 buyer. That horse has won 8 in a row and 10 of 11.
Yeah, he did run into a hot horse last time. All things considered, I thought he just ran fine last time. I think his trip was fine. He had a shot at the top of the stretch. I guess he was never going to beat Aztec Sense. I thought he could have at least been second in there. I guess we'll see what happens then. He's got the race 2 starts back, the Monmouth race you were referencing, 102 buyer. Maybe that's why he's the morning line favorite, because he has that race. But otherwise, I don't know. I just think his races just sort of make him another contender in here. They don't make him the favorite of the horse to beat. I realize he could get a good trip in this race from the rail. Just overall, I'm sort of, just sort of so-so about his form. I don't think he's that good.
I don't think he's that great. I wouldn't take him at a relatively short price, again, considering that this is a very competitive field, but it won't be a surprise at all if he does win on Saturday. Let's go to the far outside. The number 10 is Exulting, and Kieran McLaughlin is going to add blinkers. This horse was in an off-the-turf race, the Red Smith, last time out. Didn't break very well, was sent up to set the pace, and I have to be honest with you, he looked very uncomfortable when another horse was leaning on him in the stretch, and Kieran even said that's one of the reasons why he's putting blinkers on, that he seems to be a little bit quirky. You take that race away, he has run well on the main track. Now, I know he's won at a mile and an eighth, but I'm not sure that's his distance.
Yeah, I don't really think he wants to go this far. He did win an off-the-turf race up at Saratoga going this distance, but that was just sort of against horses he really wasn't going to lose to. I happen to be a big fan of Exulting. I just don't like him going this far, especially if he's going to take money in a race like this, and I think he might. And the other thing you have to worry about, as you mentioned, last time he didn't break that great. That's been a consistent problem with him over the course of his career. He's been better this year. He gets out of the gate a little better. But he is a horse who has always had problems at the gate, and if he misses the break in this spot, he's in big trouble.
One advantage with Exulting is the pace situation. Timeform US has a blue bar on their pace projector indicating that this race might favor horses on or near the early lead, and we do see the number 10 Exulting after a half mile, expected to be sitting just off the 2 Adulator, who got good for Jimmy Jerkins and continued in good form for his new trainer Robertino Diodoro. Last time out, going a mile and a 16th at Laurel, he chased a runaway leader and was sort of in between a rock and a hard place. The winner of that race, who we'll get to in a moment, bonus points, was coming from far, far back and really took advantage. All things considered, Adulator didn't run badly at all in that spot.
Yeah, he did run okay in that race considering how the pace set up. He got tired in the stretch, but I think that isn't to be unexpected, the way that race set up. His win 2 starts back. I thought he was fine in there. He's another horse, Dan. I think he's a contender in here. I don't love him. Another horse I've never really felt like a mile and an eighth was going to be his best distance, but there's a way to look at him and think he could get a better trip this time than he got last time.
Bonus Points won the Maryland Million Classic in 2017 at a mile and an eighth, and when you give him pace, he usually comes with a run, which makes this pace projector worrisome for the Todd Pletcher trainee, because he might get a completely different setup than what happened last time out when he beat Adulator, and that rest of the field hasn't exactly come back strong just yet.
I agree with all that stuff. He's just the kind of horse to me, though, who I just feel like he's sort of just coming along nicely for Pletcher. He's about to turn 5, but I just feel like he keeps coming forward in small steps, and I like him at this distance. I think this distance is a good one for him. Yes, he's probably better with some pace to run at. He may not get it here, but it's not like if they don't go in front of him, he has to be a million out of it. He'll be closer if he has to be. I think he's an interesting horse here. We'll see what kind of price he is.
Backside of the Moon's rock solid, and he gets blinkers back on for trainer Leo O'Brien. And with blinkers last year, he did some good things, winning the Jazzle over this course and distance, then finishing second in the Stymie, going a 1-turn mile. He's the kind of horse that's usually going to give an honest effort at a nice price, and maybe he's found the right spot for Leo O'Brien, although he hasn't cracked that 90 plateau since way back in March.
This is a very underrated horse. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you think he's still as good this year as he was in years past? Because there are races in his past that would make him really, really tough in here. So far this year, I feel like he hasn't quite been that horse. I know he ran second last time. Maybe it was a little bit of a turnaround. But you have to remember that was an off-the-turf race, 4-horse field. The other 2 horses in there were both turf horses. They didn't really run at all. He just sort of, to me, got second by default. I haven't seen the good backside of the moon so far in 2018. If you get the good backside of the moon, though, this is a field that he could beat.
The last time we saw DeGrom in New York, he was winning a $30,000 maiden claimer, but he's blossomed for John Service in the Mid-Atlantic area. And his most recent start at Parks, a lot of things happened in that race. He broke very badly coming out of the gate, but was soon hustled into a decent mid-pack position, and he was really helped, I believe, when the favorite went wrong on the backstretch, and DeGrom then took advantage. It was a solid race from a speed figure standpoint. We have a good formulator fact for Service. Last out winners going second off the layoff in dirt routes, 27%, a $5 ROI. Why am I not a believer just yet? Because I do think this horse has run some solid races, if you believe the figs.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, though. I mean, you know, off the last one, the 93, it makes him a contender. I agree with your take on the race. I feel like even though he won it and won it clear with the figure, he got a little lucky to win that race with everything going his way. Other than that, I mean, do his other races really make him a contender in here? I just think he's in too tough in this race.
Holiday Bonus might be a real nice claim for David Canizzo. Took him for 50, ran him in an off-the-turf race. The horse scored at a $90 mutual last time out with a 92 buyer speed figure. Distance, I don't think, is going to be a problem for this horse, but he's another one like DeGrom that needs to prove now he can do it against legitimate stakes horses that are meant for dirt.
I agree. I kind of understand why they're taking a shot in this race with him. The distance you do not have to worry about. He will go at least this far. Based on his turf form. He showed he could handle dirt again last time. He's run fine on dirt very early in his career, so it wasn't a huge surprise he handled dirt last time, but to win it as he did with that figure, I guess that was a little surprising. This is a tougher spot.
Monongahela, the number 9's a bit of a nibbler. 8 times from 19 lifetime starts. Second last time out on the Swatara, and was wired by a local long shot, Johnny Jump Up. But if you watch the races that day, it seemed that Speed was doing very, very well. So for the fact that this horse was able to rally from that far back, I think you can upgrade him a little bit. Whether it's good enough to beat this group coming from the back of the pack, it's a different pace situation. It's a different pace horse that he's going to have to run down.
Yeah, and that's just why his record sort of looks like it does. He doesn't have any speed at all. He's always trying to come from last. He's run some really good races. I actually think he's a pretty nice horse, but he makes it hard on himself.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Queens County Stakes. You like Small Bear, and we were talking before we came on set, and you thought that down inside last time was not the place to be at Laurel, and maybe this horse was compromised, but he handles the distance, and it seems like any surface he runs well.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, also, you know, going back to his last race, you know, not only was he sort of down on the rail the entire way, it just sort of felt like, you know, the 1-2 finishers in there, they were just up on the pace together the entire way. Closing wasn't really happening in that race, and that's just sort of been the case with this horse in all 3 of his dirt starts so far this year. His races back in August and September on the dirt, both times taken wire to wire. This horse trying to close, couldn't quite get there. I actually feel like he ran well in all 3 of his dirt races so far. He's 0 for 8 this year, Dan. I think he's run well in all of his starts. He's just been in some tougher spots. Things haven't gone all that well for him. I think he fits well in this race. I think he's going to be a price. If he can just catch at least a little bit of a setup, I think he'll be running at the end of this race, and I think he has a chance in the spot.
I like the 4 Bow Harbor. He was an early 2-year-old, won a couple of minor stakes races for Todd Pletcher, one at Monmouth, one at Gulfstream, then seemingly went off form, and he missed most of the spring, all of the summer, and some of the fall. He came back as a gelding, and I really liked his win at Keeneland 2 starts back. I think that was a good field he beat. Todd tested him. Yes, he dropped him in for the $100,000 tag, but he ran him a mile and a 16th off the layoff, and the horse responded with a good effort. I'm not going to rate off his last effort. I mean, it was a 3-horse field. He was able to make the front very easily, but he still was able to turn back a 1-5 stablemate in the stretch that he was giving weight to. This horse obviously doesn't need the lead to win. I'm hoping he can sit in mid-pack. I think the rest, the gelding process, they've worked for Bal Harbor. Now he's got to get the 9.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, I don't know if I totally trust him going this far. I guess we'll see. I'm with you. I thought he ran fine 2 starts back. I don't know if he runs that race, if he's going to beat this field. Maybe he will. You know, last time it's just a tough, kind of
a
situation
public
to evaluate.
workout,
I mean, a 3-horse field, they were all main track onlys. The horse, I know that Life's a Parlay, who we beat, his stablemate was, you know, 1-5,
very
whatever.
lively race,
but he's
though,
not a very good horse. I was surprised he was that kind of price there. We'll see what happens.
You're going to go 8-3-1-5. I'm going to go 4-10-1-7 in a wide open edition of the Queens County Stakes. Make sure to play it with a DRF Bets account, and the 300% 10% deposit match that goes along with it. It's an easy sign up at bets.drf.com. An approximate post time for the Queens County is 3:47 Eastern. Good luck.